Today, we're going to be exploring neohumanism in action, fostering compassion, sustainability, and global unity for a harmonious future. So, like I said, my whole life has changed once I got introduced to the philosophy, the theory, the ideas behind the principles behind neohumanism. And I really do believe it can foster global unity and a more harmonious future. And so, what is neohumanism? Neohumanism is a philosophy, and it begins with understanding that all beings are inherently interconnected and all beings have intrinsic value. And that includes everything from, us as a people to the plants to, it really does encompass everything. And I think that's really important to understand. And according to P.R. Sarkar, the founder of neohumanism, this philosophy expands upon humanism, love for all human beings, to encompass love and compassion for all beings. And I think that's part of it that's so important, that it goes beyond us. We're not the center of everything that so often we're taught and that we believe from the beginning. So to go further, to understand what is neohumanism, so I have listed out some key principles. And of course, there's more than just this. We're just scratching the surface, but I just wanted to give everybody an overview. So universalism, the idea that all beings having an inherent value and should be respected. This is a move away from the anthropocentrism, so the human-centeredness, towards a more inclusive outlook that considers the welfare of all living beings and even the ecosystem as a whole. So as we're facing climate change right now, and there's a lot of change happening, this is an opportunity to go beyond that and to understand that we're all interconnected, we're all interdependent. It's not just about us. And I know the group sitting here, I believe you all feel the same. Another big part about neohumanism is spirituality. Sarkar's philosophy incorporates spirituality, asserting that realizing one's highest spiritual potential is an important part of being human being. And that's something that, for me, it's been very much an expansion to realize that it's something that was innate in me, that spirituality has always been a part of my life, even though if I wasn't always aware of it. Social equality. Neohumanism advocates for social equality and justice. It rejects all forms of exploitation and oppression and promotes cooperation and unity among individuals and communities. Rationality. Neohumanism promotes the development and use of rationality. It encourages the application of logic, reason, and scientific inquiry, while also evaluating intuition and spiritual insight. So it doesn't, throw out anything. It incorporates everything. It's asking us to look at all things, including intuition and spiritual insight, which we've talked a lot about here at Planetary Leadership Training. So in practical terms, neohumanism can be seen as a guide to living a moral, fulfilling, and compassionate life that respects all forms of life. It promotes a worldview that values sustainability, unity, and welfare for all. So let's see how these principles can drive us towards a more compassionate and sustainable and unified world. Oh, and I left out ethics, such an important part. Neohumanism has a strong moral and ethical dimension. It promotes virtue such as compassion, empathy, love, selflessness, and service to others. And when I think of ethics, one of my courses and one of the things that we, as educators with neohumanism, there in the United States here, we have a subject called STEM, and it's science, technology, engineering, and math. Well, in neohumanism education, we changed it to science, technology, ethics, art, and math. So we added an A in there, and we changed it engineering to ethics, because that's really an important thing that needs to be brought in and that we are always promoting within the concept of neo-humanism. So neo-humanism and compassion. So we first start with the idea of neo-humanist values. And then we start to expand that to understanding and empathy. So a lot of times I think people have a difficulty understanding what is empathy versus sympathy. And it's not an easy thing. It's not something that I think that we're taught. It's something that needs to be, I think it's within all of us, but it's something we need to develop. So to be able to really walk in somebody's shoes and understand everyone sees the world differently and has a different perspective, but we can show that compassion and understanding. And often it starts with listening or just taking time to observe and seeing everyone as, you know, as an equal, as a brother and sister. And that also goes beyond us as human beings to our surrounding, to our environments, to everything that we interact with. And then that compassionate feeling starts to grow. We start caring about things. We start caring about the trees, the plants, the water. We start caring about each other, our neighbors, and that starts to expand. And then we start taking action. So we have the understanding and empathy. We start to develop compassionate feelings, and then we start to take action, compassionate action. And this leads to more positive impact on society and environment. So without action, we really can't bring forth change. And that's really, I think, a lot about what planetary leadership training is, to start to understand what neo-humanist values are, developing an understanding and empathy. And I think we share that with just each other also. We develop these compassionate feelings. We're learning how to take action. And I believe we are having a positive impact on society and environment. But of course, that's always expanding it, and there's always a need for more. So neo-humanism extends compassion to all beings. Unlike traditional humanism, which focuses on all human well-being, neo-humanism broadens the circles of compassion to all life forms. Compassion is intrinsic to neo-humanism universalism. The universal principle of neo-humanism inherently fosters compassion by advocating respect and empathy for all beings. Compassion leads to action in neo-humanism. Compassion in neo-humanism is not passive. It drives actions that promote the well-being of others, reflecting the principles of service to others. So we've talked about that a lot. You've heard Dada Reginanda talk a lot about the idea of service. It was very important with P.R. Sarkar. He very emphasized service, that we all do service every single day. Neo-humanism promotes spiritual growth through compassion. By cultivating compassion, individuals can achieve higher levels of spiritual development, fulfilling one of neo-humanism's key principles. So again, the idea of spiritual development comes forward. In neo-humanism, compassion supports social equality. Compassion leads to understanding and empathy, breaking down barriers of prejudice and discrimination, thus promoting social equality. So we just explored the first part. Now, how is neo-humanism and sustainability? Well, these are just a few concepts of neo-humanism and sustainability, and this is kind of, you know, of course, there's more that we can add to these circles. But in neo-humanism, we have spirituality, we have social equality, and we have ethical conduct. In sustainability, we have resource efficiency, long-term planning, economic viability. And kind of what I saw in the middle was there's a universalism that's shared between neo-humanism and sustainability, rationality, and then of course, again, the ethical responsibility, this ethical responsibility we have as neo-humanism with our conduct, how we treat each other, how we treat the environment as a whole, and then that also overlaps with sustainability. So neo-humanism and universalism. Neo-humanism extends the principle of universalism to all living beings and the environment, fostering a commitment to sustainability. Ethics and sustainability. Ethical conduct in neo-humanism involves being responsible for the well-being of all life forms and the planet, which is inherently supports sustainable practices. So we are responsible, and that's, I think, really important to understand that we're not only responsible for each other or for our families, we're responsible for this planet. And I think that's really what needs to be put into action as we move forward. Rationality for sustainable decisions. Neo-humanism values of rationality supports informed decision-making, which can lead to the choice of sustainable practices over harmful ones. So every day we're making choices in our own personal lives and beyond, and those personal decisions do have a worldwide impact, especially living in somewhere like where I live in the United States. I'm very aware of my decisions, especially my purchasing decisions, have an impact across the world. And that's really, I think sometimes it's a difficult decision because, we're trying to navigate, our needs and our wants. And do I really need that? And then do I, or do I just want that? And what impact is that going to have? And how can I be more sustainable? Or am I choosing that company that I believe aligns with the same ethics as I believe in, or at least they're trying to follow more sustainable practices? Spiritual humanism and sustainability. The neo-humanist value of spiritual humanism instills a sense of deep respect and connection with all forms of life and the earth, fostering sustainable attitudes and behaviors. And this is part, I think I've been more a newer experience that, or maybe a greater realization I've had more recently about the spiritual connection. And it's all around. And to me, it's a very personal thing, but it's also very universal. Social equality and environmental justice. Neo-humanism focuses on social equality, extends to advocating for environmental justice, addressing issues like the unequal distribution of environmental benefits and burdens. And I think that goes back to that idea of ethics and rationality, that there is a very much an unequal distribution of the benefits and burdens of what's going on in the environment. And you can hear it in the news cycle right now, if you listen to the news, that unfortunately, climate change is impacting parts of the world that are taking less than other countries, like here in the United States, where we are, always often reaping many of the benefits, which is putting a unsurmountable burden on other countries and other people and other environments. So it's something that, again, it's very important that we take action on. So now we can explore the neo-humanism and the global unity. So we have neo-humanism principles that we start with, and then we start to understand and embracing neo-humanism. So it's really it's taking that time to really understand. It takes time to embrace the values of neo-humanism. And then we start to develop our global consciousness. So we realize it, I think when I think of Amal was talking about for anybody that was present here for Amal Jacobson, he talks about the sentiment, the circles, and how we expand our circles, we expand our worldview from just our families and our individual to beyond to our, our local area, to our countries, and beyond all the way to becomes universal. So we need to develop that global consciousness. And then through that, we achieve global unity. I know it's not as easy as that, but in so many ways, I really believe it is. I believe the answers lie here. I believe that we can empower each other. And universalism, Neohumanism promotes universal love and respect for all beings, which extends to all humans regardless of their nationality or culture background, thus fostering global unity. Ethical conduct. The principle of ethical conduct in Neohumanism ensures fairness and justice at a global level, which strengthens global unity by addressing inequalities and injustices. Rationality. Neohumanism focuses on rationality. It encourages thoughtful, informed decisions that take into account the global community's best interest, further promoting global unity. Spirituality. The spiritual aspect of Neohumanism fosters a sense of connectedness and unity among all humans, transcending physical boundaries and encouraging global unity. So it's not just one thing, it's all things that are going to have to bring us together so that we can be more unified as a global entity. And that kind of brings me to, I'm going to stop share so I can see everyone. That's kind of the, like not my formula, but the idea of Neohumanism. And like I said, it's really an important part. And I really do believe it's a vehicle that we can bring together our planet. And by applying the principles of Neohumanism, we can foster a more harmonious future. This involves promoting universal love and respect, advocating for social equality, upholding high ethical standards, and encouraging rational thought. Promoting universal love means respecting all beings and treating them with compassion. It involves appreciating the diversity of human experiences and embracing our shared humanity. Advocating for social equality means ensuring that all individuals, regardless of their background or circumstances, have equal opportunities to grow and prosper. It means standing up against injustice and advocating for policies and practices that ensure fairness. Upholding high ethical standards involves making decisions that are not just beneficial to us as individuals, but also to society as a whole. It means taking responsibility for our actions and their impacts on the world around us. Encouraging rational thought is about making decisions based on evidence and reason rather than on prejudice or fear. It involves educating ourselves and others, promoting critical thinking, and constantly questioning the world around us. Now envision a world where these principles are put into practice, a world where people of diverse backgrounds live together in harmony, respecting and learning from each other's experiences. A world where every individual has equal opportunities to flourish and where fairness and justice are the norm. A world where decisions are made not just based on individual benefits, but on their impact on society and the environment. A world where rational thought and critical thinking are valued and promoted. By embracing Neohumanism, we can work towards creating such a world that is not only sustainable, but also harmonious and united. So let's embark on this journey together, shaping a future that is inclusive, compassionate, and rational, a future that we can all look toward with hope and optimism.